Navigating the Heart. Who is Dragging You? By Ock Soo Park. Chapter 3. Self-Control. Your ability to control yourself is the safety device to freely utilize your youth. The mother who buried a large piece of gold in the ground. In China, there lived a mother and her son. Because they were very poor, the son would gather wood from the mountains and take it to the market and sell it. That was how they were able to eat and barely live every day. When there was rain or snow and the son could not go up to the mountains to get wood, then that day he would have to go hungry. Therefore, the son always made sure that he went to the mountain every day. Although they were poor, he was an extremely good son to his mother. When the son was of an age to get married, the mother did not have any money and was unable to send him off to marry. This caused her much worry and it broke her heart. I don't know about anything else, but I wish I could have a daughter-in-law. All I need is just a little bit of money, she thought. That day the son went to gather wood and the mother was sweeping the yard with a broom. But starting from a long time ago, there was always this one big rock in the yard that she would trip over. She tried to remove it, but she couldn't. One day she tried to remove it by digging around the rock with a hoe. After looking at it a while, she saw that it was not a normal colour. She then wondered what it was and decided to pour some water over it and wash it. It was actually a large piece of gold. The moment she saw this, her heart started pounding like a person who has been caught stealing. She quickly buried it. I can't believe that we have such a big piece of gold in our own yard, she thought. From that day on, the mother could not sleep. When she would lie down at night, she thought about all the things she could do with that piece of gold. If I break up that piece of gold and sell just a small portion of it, then I could buy a house and afford to send my son off to marriage. While thinking about those things, she could not sleep for several days. Eventually, the mother's face did not look well, and so her son became worried. "Mother, are you ill?" he asked. No, I'm okay." "But you haven't even eaten much." "No, I'm okay." As usual, the son would go to the mountain to get wood, and the mother would sit in the room and would once again fall into her thoughts. Just imagining the things she could do with that piece of gold overwhelmed her heart. The mother thought about it even further. If my son realizes that we have a piece of gold in our home, then would my son continue to go to the mountains to gather wood? He wouldn't go. Then what would he do? The mother had heard that the children from rich families in the village below the mountain would usually go to the bars, hang out and gamble. That's how they lived. Although her son was diligent for the time being, it seemed to her that if he found out about the piece of gold, he would not gather wood any more. Instead, he would hang out with the rich children, drinking and gambling. If my son gambles and loses everything, he's going to need money. Then he's going to come and ask me for another piece of gold. But if I start to hate him for gambling and I do not give him any gold, then he and I will end up getting into a fight. When she quietly thought about it, it seemed that her son would no longer obey her. If that were the case, it seemed to her that they would not be happy even if they became rich. Then the mother thought about it even further for several days and came to a conclusion. With that piece of gold, we may be able to live in a big house, eat expensive food, and wear good clothes, but the relationship between my son and I will become crippled. Ultimately, it will be like we were strangers. So then, one day, the mother said to her son, "Son, there's something I want to tell you." "Say anything you would like, mother." "These days, every night I have dreams about dying. It seems that if I continue living in this house, I don't think I can live much longer. I've lived my life to the fullest, so it's okay if I die. But when I think about you being left alone, it breaks my heart. So I think I'm going to have to live longer. I hope that we can move somewhere else. Mother, what's so hard about that? Do you think that's possible? Okay, thanks. Not long after, the mother and the son moved to a place that was very far away. They could no longer find their way back, and they continued living in their new home, gathering wood. The piece of gold simply remained at that house, buried. When people hear these stories, they will say, "How foolish! All they had to do was take that piece of gold and work hard. Why did they leave the gold behind and move away?" People who are unable to adjust their mindsets think this way. When people who, without disciplined hearts, have many possessions, they stand a great chance of bringing tribulations upon themselves rather than happiness. However, if you do not have desire in your heart, it means you are not human. No matter who you are, everyone wants to eat well and be well educated. Everyone wants to have nice things and marry a great woman. Everyone has such desires. However, if you have only those desires, then that is incomplete. You need to have self-control that is stronger than your desires. This is so you can actually put the brakes on those desires. In America, a lot of lottery winners who became multimillionaires overnight ended up unhappier than before. Why? Because the ability to put the brakes on the new desires that come with having more money than you are used to having is weaker than the desire. Then, once again, desire suffocates self-control.